Good evening, all. Welcome to day 68 of the Bible Hour, brought to you live from the Park End Studios, aka my dining room. What are we going to learn about church and Jesus today? Mobile phones on silent. Put that like that, put that like that, and then put that in there like that. Good evening, Owen, capital letter. Good evening, Park End admin, and who art thou today? Hi, Owen. Evening, Sue Roberts. Welcome on in. Good to see you all. Tricky Ricky. Tricky Ricky. Good evening, Diane Robbins. Good to see you. Interesting times at the Casa del Batstone today. I was in the greenhouse, walking towards the back of the greenhouse to collect some chopped wood or sawed wood, which is what I do when I want to put wood in the outdoor log burner. And on the way to the back of the greenhouse, I tripped over a plant pot and fell through 3 panes of glass. Ear, shoulder, and wrist first, shattering all 3 of them and ending in a pile of shattered glass and broken tomato plants. But in the Lord's kindness, I have just come out with very minor lacerations rather than 10 millimeter of tendons removed and hanging on the glass above the tomato plants. But it did make me think, I don't want that greenhouse glass shattering over my boys as they whip up around it with their scooters. So now Owen Batstone is going to spend 20 minutes in bed tonight scanning through what to do about greenhouse glass. Can you cover it with a plastic sort of sheet which would keep it all from shattering? Could you replace all the glass panels with plastic? That's going to be a big expense. Sam Whittington, smashing time. Thanks, Diane, for your phone call. Sam Whittington, evening, just finished work. Tell me about it, Sam Whittington. Tell me about it. Polycarbonate sheets. Sounds good to me. Instead of glass. Yeah. That sounds good to me, Sue Roberts. That'll be one thing I'll be Googling after this. Rita then later expressed disappointment that the tomato plant has been destroyed. We are in Job chapter 17, I believe. Let's get that up. Great to be here. Still the highlight of my day, says North Star. Hey, it's the highlight of lots of people's day, I think, the Bible Hour, listening to the Word of God. It is a good thing. Hard going this working from home. Tell me about it, Sam. Honestly, since lockdown, it has been non-stop with children and work. Caring wife, lover. Yeah, caring if you're a tomato plant. clear plastic film applied to glass. Yep, like a cling film type thing. I can give you a tomato plant if you want. That is a question for Mrs. Batstone, Sue Roberts. I'm sure you should drop her a text massage. And she will say, no, thank you. We still have 2 left, or something like that. And my husband should not have told you about what I said. She'll say something like that. Help, Bible Gateway have changed their website. Still finding my way around, have they? Let's have a little look then. Looks the same to me, Ricky B. Got the little search bar at the top. And the little drop down next to it. All right, Sue Roberts, I'll ask you later. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bible Hour. We are ploughing like oxen through the book of Job. And we have made it to chapter 17. And in 4 minutes, we will begin. Just found a link back to the classic site. Oh, nice. I must have that link because it looks the same to me. It is Sam Winterton. You can tell Neil Winterton that I realized today I am now paying for Google hard drive, Google Cloud space for my photos, Microsoft OneDrive, a few terabytes of space, and now iCloud, terabytes of space as well. It's a wondrous thing. Tricky Ricky finding his way around the websites. In 3 minutes, we will begin at chapter 17. Chris Henry in the house. Welcome. Welcome on in. Neil said, get rid of some, man. You don't need all that stuff, man. True that. Welcome on into the Bible Hour. In tomorrow's newsletter, Saturday's newsletter, or whenever it goes out. Dropbox, says Chris Henry. Yep. Ben Ricketts, while we're at it, would you like parsley and coriander plant too, Mr. O? These questions are for the head of the garden. These questions are above me. They're beyond me. They're not in my sphere of influence. So, Ben Ricketts, you also need to drop a text to Mrs. Rita Batstone or a Facebook message. But good luck her ever getting back to you, because I'm still waiting for replies to text messages from Rita from 2 or 3 years ago. She's not good at replying quickly to things. I guess she's busy and she leaves the phone in other parts of the room or in her work or something like that. Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, Home, and School. I get so confused, I know, and they all cost money. Welcome in, Paula, not Paula Nyalapa, McDonald Nyalapa. Paula. All right, you two. All right, so in 1 minute we are going to crack on with the book of Job. Today's stream is sponsored by an anonymous sponsorer who delivered one of my favorite gifts that I've ever received. my very own physical copy of the New Living Translation. Now, my birthday isn't too far away, and I was going to put that on my list for Mrs. B to get because I really like this version. And someone has saved us the money and the time. So thank you. This version of the Bible is going to heavily feature in my life from now on. Probably for myself, but also for Batstone Family Bible readings. Smells like a new book. It looks like a new book. It is my very own hardback copy. So I would like to thank that anonymous donator who's sponsoring today's stream. Obviously, Julie Emlyn Jones has got June tied up. But if this person is a church leader, you know, July is available for that #1 slot. If you just make yourself known. If you're not, perhaps we need to start a new award for congregational people. Sue Roberts, I've had one given it to me as well. There is a secret donator of NLTs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Let's see if this works. Hold on a minute. Job chapter 17. Job continues to defend his innocence. My spirit is crushed, and my life is nearly snuffed out. The grave is... Okay, I won't do that. We'll put it there for now. The grave is ready to receive me. I am surrounded by mockers. I watch how bitterly they taunt me. You must defend my innocence, God, since no one else will stand up for me. You have closed their minds to understanding, but do not let them triumph. They betray their friends for their own advantage, so let their children faint with hunger. God had made a mockery of me among the people. They spit in my face. My eyes are swollen with weeping, but I am but a shadow of my former self. The virtuous are horrified when they see me. The innocent rise up against the ungodly. The righteous keep moving forward, and those with clean hands become stronger and stronger. As for all of you, come back with a better argument, though I still won't find a wise man among you. My days are over. My hopes have disappeared. My heart's desires are broken. These men say that night is day. They claim that the darkness is light. What if I go to the grave and make my bed in darkness? What if I call the grave my father and the maggot my mother or my sister? Where then is my hope? Can anyone find it? No, my hope will go down with me to the grave. We will rest together in the dust. Well, at least he's starting to see and believe again after he's seen that his human mediator in heaven, or his friend redeemer, that only God now can deliver him. Righteous people can experience brokenness, but in it the strength of the living God as never before. Park End Church admin, could you please, on Bible Gateway, cut and paste, in any version you like, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 to 10. Because Paul knew what Job knew. tricky thing, of course, with these friends, there is sometimes truth mixed into what they're saying in their unhelpful counsel, which makes it even harder. The fact is, it is not true that bad things only happen to bad people. And they need to realize that the Lord can use suffering to refine and discipline those whom he loves. Each time he said, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I thought I'd never heard it put like that when I was reading it. That's the NLT. Job chapter 18. Bildad's second response to Job. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, "How long before you stop talking? Speak sense if you want us to answer. Do you think we are mere animals? Do you think we are stupid? You may tear out your hair in anger, but will that destroy the earth? Will it make the rocks tremble? Surely the light of the wicked will be snuffed out. The sparks of their fire will not glow. The light in their tent will grow dark. The lamp hanging above them will be quenched. The confident stride of the wicked will be shortened. Their own schemes will be their downfall." And it's like, yeah, all right, Bildad, you've sort of got a point. The wicked walk into a net, they fall into a pit, a trap grabs them by the heel, a snare holds them tight, a noose lies hidden on the ground, a rope is stretched across their path. Terrors surround the wicked and trouble them at every step. Hunger depletes their strength, and calamity waits for them to stumble. Disease eats their skin, death devours their limbs. They are torn from the security of their homes and are brought down to the king of terrors. The homes of the wicked will burn down, burning sulfur rains on their houses. Their roots will dry up and their branches will wither. All memory of their existence will fade from the earth. No one will remember their names. They will be thrust from light into darkness, driven from the world. They will have neither children nor grandchildren, nor any survivor in the place where they lived. People in the West are appalled at their fate. People in the East are horrified. They will say, "This was the home of a wicked person, the place of one who rejected God." Yeah, all right. But godly people have tough times too, mate. Real tough times, as we've just read. How long before you stop talking jaunty and hysterics? That's what I say to you, Mum. Yeah, no comment here from the Bible Hour. He's also being too simple to say bad things only happen to bad people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get prepared for one of the greatest chapters in the Bible. I think it's my new favorite chapter in the Bible. Job chapter 19. I want you to imagine loss of health, job, security, home, friendships, and you're clinging on to life. And then we're about to see one of the most moving accounts of one of our church ancestors that have ever happened. Let's jump on in. And I've never read it in this version before, so let's see how they do. Job's sixth speech, a response to Bildad. Then Job spoke again. How long will you torture me? How long will you try to crush me with your words? If you have already insulted me 10 times, you should be ashamed of treating me so badly. Even if I have sinned, that is my concern, not yours. You think you're better than I am, using my humiliation as evidence of my sin. But it is God who has wronged me, capturing me in his net. I cry out, help! But no one answers me. I protest, and there is no justice. God has blocked my way, so I cannot move. He has plunged my path into darkness. Have you ever read C.S. Lewis's biography or autobiography? No, biography, I'm sure. When his wife died and he lived through it. And he said, he cried out to heaven, and it was as if the gates of heaven were slammed shut, silent, and locked from the inside to him. That's what he felt at the time. A Grief Observed is a very powerful paperback by C.S. Lewis. It's a fascinating treatment. He has stripped me of my honor and removed the crown from my head. He has demolished me on every side, and I am finished. He has uprooted my hope like a fallen tree. His fury burns. It is not furry burns. That is a mistake by me. His fury burns against me. Nick Hawkins in the house. Welcome on in, sir. Job chapter 19. We're just reading about the furry sideburns. His fury burns again. I did it again. I'm losing it. Get it together, Owen. Get it together. Come on, we've still got 300 days to go. His fury burns against me. He counts me as an enemy. His troops advance. They build up roads to attack me. They camp all around my tent. So he's actually thinking here it's God who's attacking him, which isn't the case when we've seen the curtain pulled back at the start. My relatives stay far away and my friends have turned against me. My family is gone and my close friends have forgotten me. My servants and maids consider me a stranger. I am like a foreigner to them. When I call my servant, he doesn't come. I have to plead with him. My breath is repulsive to my wife. I am rejected by my own family. Even young children despise me. When I stand to speak, they turn their backs on me. My close friends detest me. Those I love have turned against me. I have been reduced to skin and bones and have escaped death by the skin of my teeth. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the very first ever use of that term. Have mercy on me, my friends, have mercy, for the hand of God has struck me. Must you also persecute me like God does? Haven't you chewed me up enough? Oh, that my words could be recorded. Oh, that they could be inscribed on a monument, carved with an iron chisel and filled with lead, engraved forever in the rock. All right, say Bible Hour. I think I know where he's going with this sudden turn, because we know the rock. We've seen that rock a lot appear and lead his church, and we know that how Paul treats that rock, which feeds and waters and guides and protects the church. But as for me, I know that my Redeemer lives, and he will stand upon the earth at last. And after my body has decayed, yet in my body I will see God. I will see him for myself. Yes, I will see him with my own eyes. I am overwhelmed at the thought. How dare you go on persecuting me, saying it's his own fault? You should fear punishment yourselves, for your attitude deserves punishment. Then you will know that there is indeed a judgment. My Redeemer liveth. His Redeemer, who he has also called so far in the book of Job, friend, intercessor, advocate, and witness. All of these ways, and now his Redeemer, has been how Job has expressed faith in Jesus. And he knows that he's going to die before long. And he's going to decay and his body will turn to dust. Yet there will be a final day where he will see again with his resurrected body and eyes his beloved God for himself, because his Redeemer is God. In one of the books I've got, it says the preacher goes around, or the writer of the book goes around quoting those verses and asking people, what part of the Bible do you think that's from? And loads of people think it's the New Testament. It's actually from one of the earliest books written in the whole Bible, because faith has always been in Jesus, and you cannot approach the Father without Jesus the priest. Belter. Job's got to be the best book in the book. It is, isn't it? It's the best book. Job. It is. All right, it's Job chapter 20 now. I wonder how Gordon the Zophar is going to react to that very Jesus-centered sermon that he just heard. Job chapter 20. Zophar's second response to Job. Yes, if you had asked me, I would have said Isaiah. And yep, not bad. He's into all that as well, isn't he? Yep. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, I must reply because I am greatly disturbed. Apart from Esther, Ruth, Leviticus, Genesis, yeah. Leviticus, oh, the glory days of Bible Hour. This is the danger of preaching sermons about Jesus and then meeting people at the door on the way out, because sometimes you get, I must reply because I am greatly disturbed. I've had to enjoy your insults, but now my spirit prompts me to reply. Don't you realize that from the beginning of time, ever since people were first placed on the earth, the triumph of the wicked has been short-lived, and the joy of the godless has been only temporary? Though the pride of the godless reaches to the heavens and their heads touch the clouds, yet they never vanish forever, thrown away like their own dung. Those who knew them will ask, where are they? They will fade like a dream and not be found. They will vanish like a vision in the night. Those who once saw them will see them no more. Their families will never see them again. So Job has just basically said, my confidence is in my Redeemer. I know that he lives. Gordon the Zophar is back saying, look, mate, you're wicked. You need to confess it. You need to become righteous for yourself. Forget that other stuff you just said, because otherwise you'll be like wicked people who are soon forgotten. So classic Get back to buying your favor with the living God. Their children will beg from the poor, for they must give back their stolen riches. Though they are young, their bones will lie in dust. They enjoy the sweet taste of wickedness, letting it melt under their tongue. They savored it, holding it long in their mouths. But suddenly the food in their belly turns sour, a poisonous venom in their stomach. They will not vomit the wealth. They will vomit, the wealth they swallowed. God won't let them keep it down. They will suck the poison of cobras. The viper will kill them. They will never again enjoy streams of olive oil or rivers of milk and honey. They will give back everything they worked for. Their wealth will bring them no joy. For they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes. They were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. Therefore, their prosperity will not endure. Hold on a minute. No, with the quote. Yeah, I know that's Sue Roberts. I know. It'll be the Psalms next. They are. You're right. Oh, Job being the best book of the Bible. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. Now then. This is interesting because this is such a modern thing that you wouldn't believe the amount of times that I've stood in the pulpit and preached Jesus, that he's life and he's our righteousness, and we're not good enough, but we can cling to him. And like about 4 or 5 times I've done that. Come out and had to stand by the door, and someone has said to me these words, and it's been about 4 or 5 times I've heard these words put like this. It's like you said, Owen, in the end, you can only try your best and hope for your best. And I'm like, dude, I didn't say that. I cannot believe that's what you heard. And it is a reminder, actually, that like these things are spiritually discerned. And sermons just can fall on deaf ears, man. But Gordon the Zophah's doing that here. He's just heard about the Redeemer God. And he's gone right back to, nah, just be good. Otherwise you're in trouble. It's amazing. People hear what they want to hear. You're right there. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. Therefore, their prosperity will not endure. In the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome by misery. Snap. Jinx. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. May God give them a bellyful of trouble. May God rain down his anger upon them. When they try to escape an iron weapon, a bronze-tipped bow will pierce them. The arrow is pulled from their back, and the arrowhead glistens with blood. The terrors of death are upon them. Their treasures will be thrown into deepest darkness. A wildfire will devour their goods, consuming all that they have. The heavens will reveal their guilt, and the earth will testify against them. A flood will sweep away their house, and God's anger will descend on them in torrents. This is the reward that God gives the wicked, and it is the inheritance decreed by God. Look, I mean, God is going to judge the wicked. That includes us, but we're safe, covered by the blood of Jesus. But it's the context here that's wrong. He is saying that to a guy who knows his Redeemer and performs sacrifices showing that all of the time. So therefore, he means it in a way that, like, it doesn't involve Jesus. This is good behavior. Try your best religion. And whatever bad happens to you, therefore, is your fault. It's nasty, nasty stuff. That is Pharisaical. Welcome on into the Bible Hour. If you're just joining us, it is 26 minutes past 21 hours. We've been hearing about furry sideburns and all sorts of things, and redeemers that live, that we will see with our own eyes one day, at the other side of suffering. And we have reached Job chapter 21. Job chapter 21, there is a terrible truth which makes his friends tremble. And it's this: in this life, the wicked do not always suffer the fate that Zophar has just described. And a lot of them have a lifetime of ease. That is a fact. But we need a good version to see the conclusion of that. We'll get to that later. Park it Nami, get ready with the King James version. I'll say when in a minute. Job's seventh speech, a response to Zophar. Then Job spoke again. Listen closely to what I am saying. That's one consolation you can give me. Bear with me and let me speak. After I have spoken, you may resume mocking me. My complaint is with God, not with people. I have good reason to be so impatient. Look at me and be stunned. Put your hand over your mouth in shock. When I think about what I am saying, I shudder. My body trembles. Why do the wicked prosper, growing old and powerful? They live to see their children grow up and settle down, and they enjoy their grandchildren. Their homes are safe from every fear, and God does not punish them. Their bulls never fail to breed. Their cows bear calves and never miscarry. Now, there are some teenage bloggers who live in basements and spend all day just plucking random Bible verses out of context and sticking them and then writing a little blog about it. And what that is a classic one that they might pay something like this. About the wicked, their homes are safe from every fear and God does not punish them. And then they write a whole blog about there's no such thing as punishment or justice or judgment and all sorts of things like that. All right. But that we're not bloggers here. We're Bible hours people. Their bulls never fail to breed. Their cows bear calves and never miscarry. They let their children frisk about like lambs. Their little ones skip and dance. They sing with tambourine and harp. They celebrate to the sound of the flute. They spend their days in prosperity, then go down to the grave in peace. Yet they say to God, go away. We want no part of you and your ways. Who is the Almighty? And why should we obey him? What good will it do us to pray? They think their prosperity is of their own doing, but I will have nothing to do with that kind of thinking. Yet the light of the wicked never seems to be extinguished. Do they ever have trouble? Does God distribute sorrows to them in anger? Are they driven before the wind like straw? Are they carried away by the storm like chaff? Not at all. The fact is, church members, we will sometimes see godless people prosper and have easy lives, and church members have really tough lives sometimes. That's what Job's telling us. Well, you say, at least God will punish their children, but I say he should punish the ones who sin so that they understand his judgment. Let them see their destruction with their own eyes. Let them think deeply of the anger of the Almighty. For they will not care what happens to their family after they are dead. But who can teach a lesson to God, since he judges even the most powerful? One person dies in prosperity, completely comfortable and secure, the picture of good health, vigorous and fit. Another person dies in bitter poverty, never having tasted a good life. But both are buried in the same dust, both eaten by the same maggots. Look, I know what you're thinking. I know the schemes you plot against me. You will tell me of rich and wicked peoples whose houses have vanished because of their sins. But ask those who have been around, and they will tell you the truth. Evil people are spared in times of calamity and are allowed to escape disaster. No one criticizes them openly or pays them back for what they have done. When they are carried to the grave, an honor guard keeps watch at their tomb. A great funeral procession goes to the cemetery. Many pay their respects as the body is laid to rest, and the earth gives sweet repose. How can your empty cliches comfort me? All your explanations are lies. Park End Church admin, could you hold on a minute, Diane, that's a good question, but wait there. Could you find just quickly in the KJV the verse for the wicked are reserved for the day of doom? They shall be brought out on the day of wrath. That's a better version and a more, that's what we have to bring out. So it would be the KJV version of, well, I'll let you find out because I can't find it right now. This version is so different. I've never seen it like that before. Wherever day of wrath, I think it's day of wrath in the NIV, which I've got in my head. Ooh, verse 30, well done. That the wicked is reserved, yeah, there you go, it's 29 and 30. That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction, they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. And in this version, but ask those who have been around and they will tell you the truth. Evil people are spared in times of calamity and allowed to escape the disaster. Yeah, it's much better in the KJV, that. So the KJV has that much more accurate. And the fact is, the day of wrath is referring there to the final day of justice. For the wicked are reserved for the day of destruction. They shall be brought out on the day of wrath. So wicked people, ladies and gentlemen, who hate Jesus may get away with a lot in this life and have a very affluent, prosperous life, but their judgment is just put on hold until that final day of judgment. So remember that. I mean, that's important stuff if we're suffering. Job's friends have got it all wrong. All right, Bible Hour. It is no, it's not actually. It's 25 to take 68 seconds. Go grab a chicken fajita and an onion and a pickle. Put it in a sandwich and bring it back. Does Job have any concept of Satan? Well, Job, so let's deduce so far. So Job is a scholar of Moses because he's into the sacrificial system. There's tons of warnings against the evil one, Satanism, devil worship in Moses. Job is a person who sacrifices from sin, so he has a concept to cover his sin. So he has a concept of sin and evil. Therefore, he's familiar with the Genesis account of the fall and restoration and need for redemption. He prays to his Redeemer, so he must have an understanding of from what he's being redeemed from, which would be sin, darkness, death, decay, and evil. But for the main in this book, he has an even greater view of God that actually is God himself who has allowed this to happen. But sometimes he goes so far to say God himself is doing it, which I think he slips into error there. Finally, don't forget, though, there's this thing, this gliding spirit, which his friends have been talking about, who has also been called Leviathan, the monster. What else the names has he had in this one? Rahab, the deceiver, I think, is crept up in this one too, in different versions. So, I actually think the accuser is the other one, isn't it? And then his friends are just being like that gliding spirit, accusing him of stuff. So with all that said, I reckon you could make a case that yes, he's well aware of that stuff. Plum, peach, cherry. Oh, they're talking about food they've got in the break. All right. In a minute, we will be jumping back in at Job chapter 22. I think Eliphaz reveals a bit more of his nastiness in this one. But again, there's bits of truth now in his friends' accounts. That's the tricky thing. Eliphaz's third response to Job. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied. Not sure if you heard that, but that was a high-pitched squeal from the hallway. Can a person do anything to help God? Can even a wise person be helpful to him? Is it any disadvantage to the Almighty if you are righteous? Would it be any gain to him if you were perfect? Is it because you're so pious that he accuses you and brings judgment against you? No, it's because of your wickedness. There's no limit to your sins. No, she hasn't. But if she had, I'd be concerned about the tomato plants. For example, you must have lent money to your friend and demanded clothing as security, yet you stripped him to the bone. You must have refused water for the thirsty and food for the hungry. You probably think the land belongs to the powerful and only the privileged have right to it. You must have sent widows away empty-handed and crushed the hopes of orphans. It's really interesting because Eliphaz's early account of Job wasn't anything like that. He was saying he's been really generous and a lovely guy, really. But now the claws have come out because, remember, he's having dreams and influenced by the accuser of the brethren. So out come the accusations. That is why you are surrounded by traps and tremble from sudden fears. That is why you cannot see the darkness and waves of water cover you. God is so great, higher than the heavens, higher than the farthest stars. But you reply, that's why God can't see what I'm doing. How can he judge through thick darkness? For thick clouds swirl about him and he cannot see us. He is way up there walking on the vault of heaven. Will you continue on the old paths where evil people have walked? They were snatched away in the prime of life, the foundations of their lives washed away. For they said to God, leave us alone. What can the Almighty do to us? Yet he was the one who filled their homes with good things. So I will have nothing to do with that kind of thinking. The righteous will be happy to see the wicked destroyed, and the innocent will laugh at contempt. They will say, see how our enemies have been destroyed. The last of them have been consumed in the fire. Submit to God, Job, and you will have peace. Then things will go well for you. Excuse me while I wipe my nose, and I'm reminded of the tissue donator, Phil Tamlin, who wrote a message to me today saying he's going to have to drop back off the live stream and watch it a day later because him and Kerry, his wife, keep talking about Bible Hour after it finishes too late, and they're both having too many late nights. So we've lost Phil Tamlin from the live stream. He's Bible Hour +1. Submit to God and you'll have everything you want. Health, wealth, prosperity. Things will go well for you. Listen to his instructions and store them in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you will be restored. So clean up your life. Again, you will be restored in some ways when you come back to the Almighty. But it may well be that your suffering continues, but the restoration is of soul connecting to the living God. So one day you'll have a hope like this. Oh, I'm going to see him anyway, the other side of death. If you give up your lust for money and throw your precious gold into the river, the Almighty himself will be your treasure. He will be your precious silver. Then you will take delight in the Almighty and look up to God. You will pray to him and he will hear you, and you will fulfill your vows to him. You will succeed in whatever you choose to do, and light will shine on the road ahead of you. If people are in trouble and you say, help them, God will save them. Even sinners will be rescued. They will be rescued because your hands are pure. Beware, Bible Hour, of taking random truths out of the context of which they were originally put. Job chapter 33. Job's 8th speech, a response to Eliphaz. Then Job spoke again. My complaint today is still a bitter one, and I try hard not to groan aloud. If only I knew where to find God, I would go to his court. I would lay out my case and present my arguments. Then I would listen to his reply and understand what he says to me. Would he use his great power to argue with me? No. He would give me a fair hearing. Someone once said, the scariest truth of the Bible is this, that God is good. Because we're not. So when we ask God for a fair hearing, what's going to happen really? That's one of the last things that maybe we want to ask the living God. I will go east. Honest people can reason with him. So I would be forever acquitted by my judge. I go east, but he is not there. I go west, but I cannot find him. I do not see him in the north, for he is hidden. Oops. I clicked the wrong button. I'm back. I look to the south, but he is concealed, but he knows where I am going. And when he tests me, I will come out as pure as gold, for I have stayed on God's paths. I have followed his ways and not turned aside. I have not departed from his commands, but have treasured his words more than daily food. So yeah, I mean, in the righteous sense, we are in trouble, but the fact is there are times we get accused of stuff and it's just not true, and we can stand before the living God and say, look, Lord, we have kept your law in this area. That's what Job's trying to argue here. I have not departed from his commands, but have treasured his words more than daily food. But once he has made his decision, who can change his mind? Whatever he wants to do, he does. So he will do to me whatever he has planned. He controls my destiny. No wonder I am so terrified in his presence. When I think of it, terror grips me. For God has made me sick at heart. The Almighty has terrified me. Darkness is all around me. Thick, impenetrable darkness is everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the last 10 minutes of Bible Hour. Just take 20 seconds, have a glass of water, maybe a Japanese green tea, and then we will gather back in about 20 seconds as we shuffle in our seats for the final straight, the final countdown. It's funny that Job often questions here, like, why is this happening? Well, here we are in Bible Hour. How many thousand years later, learning so much about God's purposes in suffering and how we can be in it and the hopes that we can have in it, and then how to advise people who are suffering. So I'm not sure if Job specifically knew about Bible Hour when he was going through this, but he's been a great help. Job chapter 24, Job asks why the wicked are not punished. Why doesn't the Almighty bring the wicked to judgment? Why must the godly wait for him in vain? Evil people steal land by moving the boundary markers. They steal livestock and put them in their own pastures. They take the orphan's donkey and demand the widow's ox as security for a loan. The poor are pushed off the path. The needy must hide together for safety. Like wild donkeys in the wilderness, the poor must spend all their time looking for food, searching even in the desert for food for their children. They harvest a field they do not own, and they glean the vineyards of the wicked. All night they lie naked in the cold, without clothing or covering. They are soaked by mountain showers, and they huddle against the rocks for want of a home. The wicked snatch a widow's child from her breast, taking the baby as security for a loan. The poor must go about naked without any clothing. They harvest food for others while they themselves are starving. They press out olive oil without being allowed to taste it. Then they tread the winepress as they suffer from thirst. The groans of the dying rise from the city, and the wounded cry for help. Yet God ignores their moaning. Wicked people rebel against the light. They refuse to acknowledge its ways or stay in its paths. The murder rises in the early dawn to kill the poor and the needy. At night he is a thief. The adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, "No one will see me then." He hides his face so no one will know him. Thieves break into houses at night and sleep in daytime. They are not acquainted with the light. The black night is their morning. They ally themselves with the terrors of the darkness. Light and dark, massive themes in the Bible. Joy cometh in the morning, but there is weeping that endures for the night. Jesus, I am the light of the world. If you are not in me, you are in darkness. You are condemned already. Psalm 19, each and every morning, the sun rises in the sky and chases away the darkness of night like a champion bridegroom. And that psalm is about the Redeemer. Petty bar, we are children of light. That is what the book of Ephesians says, isn't it? You were once afar off, children of darkness, but now you are children of light, made nigh by the blood of Christ Jesus. Massive themes. Every day the sun rises and chases away darkness. The birds sing, we've made it through another night of darkness and decay and judgment. And now we're singing at the rising sun. Jesus, our champion, has risen again and we are safe. I don't know if you know this, but the robin is the first to sing because out of the British garden birds, because he's got the biggest eyes and he's first to see Jesus rise every single morning. So he gets his hymn book out every single morning and he leads the choir of the birds in song about how amazing Jesus is, because it's the gospel that's displayed in creation. The sun rises like the bridegroom redeemer, Jesus. That's Psalm 19. Anyway, that was a slight tangent. Verse 18, but they disappear like foam down a river. Everything they own is cursed, and they are afraid to enter their own vineyards. The grave consumes sinners, just as drought and heat consume snow. Their own mothers will forget them. Maggots will find them sweet to eat. No one will remember them. Wicked people are broken like a tree in the storm. MacDonald, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Therefore, ye children, walk in the light. They cheat the woman who has no son to help her. They refuse to help the needy widow. God, in his power, drags away the rich. They may rise high, but they have no assurance of life. They may be allowed to live in security, but God is always watching them. And though they are great now, in a moment, they will be gone like all others, cut off like heads of grain. Can anyone claim otherwise? Who can prove me wrong? Job chapter 25, Bildad's third response to Job. Then Bildad replied, God is powerful and dreadful. He enforces peace in the heavens. Who is able to count his heavenly army? Doesn't his light shine on all the earth? How can a mortal be innocent before God? Can anyone born of a woman be pure? God is more glorious than the moon. He shines brighter than the stars. In comparison, people are maggots. We mortals are mere worms. It is a great time to now ask ourselves this question, because one day we will be asked it by God himself. How can a mortal be innocent before God? The answer to that is the answer to the next one. Can anyone born of a woman be pure? There was one, the human. And in him, not in Adam, we are safe. Amazing stuff. Job chapter 26. Job's ninth speech, a response to Bildad. Then Job spoke again. How have you helped the powerless? How have you saved the weak? Sorry, I said that wrong. How you have helped the powerless, how you have saved the weak, how you have enlightened my stupidity. What wise advice you have offered. Where have you gotten all these wise sayings? Whose spirit speaks through you? Well, we know that. We know it's the gliding evil spirit, actually, who's denouncing the work of the Redeemer that Job's focusing on. The dead tremble, those who live beneath the waters. The underworld is naked in God's presence. The place of destruction is uncovered. God stretches the northern sky over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. He wraps the rain on in his thick clouds, and the clouds don't burst with the weight. He covers the face of the moon, shrouding it with his clouds. He created the horizon when he separated the waters. He set the boundary between day and night. The foundations of heaven tremble, they shudder at his rebuke. By his power, the sea grew calm. By his skill, he crushed the great sea monster. His spirit made the heavens beautiful, and his power pierced the gliding serpent. These are just the beginning of all that he does, merely a whisper of his power. Who then can comprehend the thunder of his power? Let's just back that up a minute. This Redeemer, God, friend, intercessor, that Job, mediator, that Job is getting visions of and trusting in, well, Paul sums it up like this in Colossians, and I read this with my friend today, this afternoon, with Ben, who's in the chat. Talking about Jesus in Colossians, all things were made by him and for him. That's Jesus. And he is the one who has pierced the gliding serpent. His spirit has made the heavens beautiful, and he has crushed the great sea monster. Belter of a chapter there as we approach Job chapter 27. Let's do it, man. I got 3 minutes. Job continues speaking. I vow by the living God who has taken away my rights, by the Almighty who has embittered my soul, as long as I live, while I have breath from God, my lips will speak no evil, and my tongue will speak no lies. I will never concede that you are right, you dummy, with your stupid prosperity gospel from the satanic pit. I will defend my integrity until I die. I will maintain my innocence without wavering. My conscience is clear for as long as I live. May my enemy be punished like the wicked. May my adversary like those who do evil. My adversary like those who do evil. For what hope do the godless have when God cuts them off and takes away their life? Will God listen to their cry when trouble comes upon them? Can they take delight in the Almighty? Can they call to God at any time? I will teach you about God's power. I will not conceal anything concerning the Almighty. But you have seen all this, yet you say all these useless things to me. Useless. This is what the wicked will receive from God. This is their inheritance from the Almighty. They may have many children, but the children will die in war or starve to death. Those who survive will die of a plague, and not even their widows will mourn them. Evil people may have piles of money and may store away mounds of clothing, but the righteous will wear that clothing, and the innocent will divide that money. The wicked build houses as fragile as a spider's web, as flimsy as a shelter made of branches. The wicked go to bed rich, but wake to find that all their wealth is gone. Terror overwhelms them like a flood, and they are blown away in the storms of the night. The east wind carries them away, and they are gone. It sweeps them away. It whirls down on them without mercy. They struggle to flee from its power, but everyone jeers at them and mocks them. Job's going to go on to speak of wisdom and understanding, but the way that we can speak of people being righteous and inheriting the world and wealth, and the wicked not prospering ultimately, the only way that makes sense is in Jesus, our Redeemer, and being in him. He makes all things right. He makes the godless godly. He makes us stand on the last day with him, the other side of suffering, with new bodies, new prosperity, new joy, and new peace. Job's tapping into profound truths as we close off today's Bible hour. Job chapter 28. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. How many chapters are in Job? Is this like 39, isn't it? I don't no, it goes beyond that, doesn't it? Isn't there like 44, man? 42? Something like that, 42, I think. I think that you love Lyco because he is funny, but because he says good things, Jonty. Ah, nice one. Yes. I will tell my wife that Jonty thinks I'm funny. Yeah. Someone's got to. Right, where do we finish then? Job chapter 20. I've got to put the bookmark in. The electronic bookmark. 28. Got it. 42 chapters, man. Will we get there tomorrow night? Adios, amigos.